All right, so past few days I've been thinking about this thing called discipline, and I've been reading Hebrews chapter 12, and it's been talking to me loud and clear. Um, but what I found is that discipline brings about legitimacy, and what I mean by that is when you're disciplined or being disciplined, really disciplining is training yourself for hard times or for scarcities or times where you're not able to uh, for when you're not able to do something. So what does that mean? Discipline for me, uh, when I think about it based off of Hebrews 12, it's basically a time of training. It's a time of of focus. It's a time of just being able to endure hardship in your life. And sometimes you can be disciplined by circumstances. Um, it takes discipline to deal with the tough times. It takes discipline in your finance. It takes discipline in your tongue, in relationships. It takes discipline to be married. It takes discipline to be in friendships. It takes discipline all around. But ultimately, it's our discipline that keeps us legitimate. It's interesting that they call education a discipline. So like when you're studying something, you are being disciplined in an area, like a master's degree with a concentration, like a doctoral, or like a physician. They're disciplined. Right? A pastor, their discipline is teaching the Bible or scripture or doctrine in that way. So discipline provides legitimacy. I never really thought about that, but this week and on today, that was something that just struck me. I was having a conversation with my mom and my sister again, and then there was an issue that came up, but I will say this. You gotta have discipline in your conversations, number one. And I think this is the direction I want to go with this, because you gotta have discipline in your conversations with people. And what I mean by that is gossip, loose lips sink ships. And when you're gossiping about someone else, you're losing the discipline of what you really want out of the conversation. What I mean by that is, or what is really good, or what's really the point of the conversation, or the most beneficial, productive is the word I'm looking for. What's productive during the conversation. So when you gossip, the conversation is not productive because it doesn't pertain to anything about the two people engaging in communication. You're talking about something that's third party in that communication. So it's not productive if that person that you are referring to isn't in the room. So loose lips sink ships. Whether it be telling their business, telling your opinion on other people, can be very detrimental. What it does is, when you have such a strong perspective that is negative towards another individual, what it does is you do three different fallacies. Number one, the first fallacy that you do is you tend to be the victim in your story. Be the victim in your story, because your perspective is either you're a victim, the other person is the villain, and then you're very clever and crafty with the way you tell it. So it's all your perspective, all your opinion. Now the danger is that the person that's listening to this is being left with a seed or an impression of another person based off of the victimization or either the villainization that you are preaching or that you are telling the person. So we have to be very careful about having discipline to our conversations, because here's the thing: gossip turns out to be your discipline. So you make gossip legitimate by talking about it. That's what I'm saying. If you make gossip your discipline, If you make that thing that you talk about other people your discipline, now your discipline has become legitimate as gossip. Therefore, you're a gossiper, or therefore you tear people down. And so we have to be very careful about the conversations we engage in about other people, because discipline is legitimacy. So in order to remain disciplined, we have to understand what we really want in our conversations. And what I really don't want anymore are circular conversations. People just go around and around in a circle, and it's the same pattern, it's the same conversation, it's the same dialogue, it's the same thing. And really all we're producing is circles. We're starting at one point and we're ending right back where we started. Okay? And we haven't traveled anywhere. We're just going in circles. And you know, when Luther said, "You got me going in circles, around and around I go." I'm not trying to have no conversations like that, truthfully. I want to go forward. I want to move in a direction. I want to move towards solutions. So, what am I really saying here? I really want to say this, and this is kind of, you know, the coaching for today. As I thought about this and what I need to practice, because this is hard. You know, it feels good to tell people your opinion and your perspective on a person. You know, so when I'm listening to that, number one, the first thing I practice is I take it at face value. That person has an issue with that person. They're just venting, right? They just need to get this off their chest. This is what's in their heart right now. You say get it off your chest, this is what's in your heart. This is how you really feel about Brody. And no matter whether I agree with that or not, they're venting. Now, here's the other flip side of it. It takes discipline to speak up when that person is wrong. Because some impressions you don't need to have. Some people leave lasting impressions on you about folks that is not true. So you have to be able to set a boundary, put up a wall, and cut through it. And really figure out, if you want to be a really good friend, find out why that person has that perspective on that person. You know what I mean? It could be that they're feeling some type of insecurity about themselves. Realistically, if somebody's looking at somebody else in comparison in the conversation, what are the facts? What made them draw that conclusion? So to keep the relationship with an individual like that, but also help guide and coach them in the right direction, you want to really find out what's really good, what's really going on with you. You know, one minute we weren't talking about this, but now we are. And you don't seem to be talking about Susie in a way that's good. Are you okay? Because a lot of times we like to divert our issues off of ourselves and then start talking about other people when we see something that they have that we don't, or we get jealous or selfish or controlling or manipulative, or, you know, wish somebody would have said this like that, or that kind of stuff. Because there's something inside of us that we have not addressed yet. Because we are unfulfilled with our lives, therefore we're not content with what we're doing. Therefore, we have not legitimized anything in our life. Because we don't have the discipline to look at our own selves first and keep our conversations very A and B. And we don't have to add any extra variables. We can even keep the conversation A. You know, but to have an A conversation, you probably would be on a couch with somebody taking notes. That's just my opinion, and they're asking questions. But if you have an A-B conversation, really we have to learn to flow with one another in dialogue that is disciplined, and it makes legitimacy to our relationships so that we can begin to address the things that need to be addressed. We can begin to build the trust that we really need as individuals. You look at how kids interact, how children interact. They're very A-B. They don't talk about Joey over here. If they got an issue with Joey, they go tell the teacher, but Joey's standing there. It's like, Joey did da 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 da. And they just say it. And if a kid doesn't like a kid, he'll tell the kid, I don't really care too much for you. There's a lot that naturally we do as younger people that we can learn as adults, but there's also a lot of adult behaviors that aren't very mature either. And because we are adults, we should be practicing this level of communication that has discipline to it, so that we legitimize our relationships and build stronger bonds with people. I think being honest, and what I'm not saying is like, if you are feeling frustrated by circumstances and you're looking at the big picture and you're saying, I don't understand why, blah, 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 that is okay. Because maybe somebody does have that answer for you. But you got to understand, I don't understand why. It's kind of a curiosity that you have. And you might be just throwing it out there as a generalization for whoever's in the room. Okay? That's not what I'm talking about here. Okay? That's generally curious for your situation. Maybe you're feeling some emotion towards something and you don't understand it, and you're letting people know what emotional state that you are currently in. That's the authenticity that we talk about as far as leadership and as far as just being a person in general. Like a human being would ask that question. Like, for example, you may be on the job and you're dealing with rough customers and all this kind of stuff, or you have a bad policy, you just don't understand it, and that's when the policy breaks down or the process breaks down. You just simply state, why is this like this? I don't understand. It really frustrates me, and not only does that, it impacts our customers as well. I don't understand. See, that's different. I'm not talking about anybody individual. I'm talking about a generalization, but I'm asking the question out of genuine curiosity. And in that genuine curiosity, I'm trying to really figure out a solution or figure out a way to change this so that it makes more sense, get more clarity on it. I'm not removing myself from it, not in dealing with insecurity in like personal life or relationships. That's why I use an organizational example, like a career example. So we just have to do better, because our discipline legitimizes us. And if you don't believe me, go read Hebrews chapter 12, because that was the perspective I got. I've read that chapter like tons and tons of times, and I never really truly understood what it was meaning. But basically, if I had to sum it up, and I'm not ordained or anything like that, but it's God disciplines his children because he loves us. And because he disciplines us, it legitimizes us as the sons and daughters, as his sons and daughters. What parent does not discipline their child? What parent does not discipline their child? If the child is not disciplined, he's not legitimate as a child. That's, the first part. But then there's a whole lot that's in that chapter that we all can apply to our lives. Because ultimately, we are searching for peace and some type of, if you're in a career, some resolution or resolving issues in the workplace is what I would equate to our life as peace. Because now we're working together, we're all content, we have the same goal, and we're going towards it, but we're walking in peace. We're not warring with each other. We were able to talk about differences, but also settle on those things in a manner that we're not fighting anymore. It doesn't do me any good to fight you in a sense of like, you're wrong, I'm right, and just shut down from an individual. But if we have discipline, and we're trained in it, the Bible says that you'll reap a harvest, okay? You will reap a harvest of peace and righteousness. I don't know about y'all, but I want some peace and righteousness in my life. And whoever's listening, I want some peace and righteousness in my life. And I want to produce a harvest of peace and righteousness in my life. So I have to be disciplined, right, by God in my life as well. I have to put parameters on the things that I do and that I will not do. That's discipline. That's training yourself. You know, read the books, get the tools to get that discipline that you need. It comes with pain and sacrifice. I do want the new J's, but can I afford them? You know, I do want that body, but do I really want to work out? You know, you know, I want to run a half marathon, but I hate running. All of it's painful, but that pain trains that endurance, and that endurance gets you there in the long run. So anyway, discipline is legitimacy, man. So I'm gonna leave you with this. My name's Coach King, or Michael. Make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality to make real change in the world. My name's Coach King, or Michael, and I love you guys. Peace.